Don't touch that dial. You're tuned in to the Dread Podcast Network.
Welcome to Development Hell. For every horror movie that hits V.O.D, countless others end up D.O.A. Development Hell is the podcast dedicated to unearthing these cursed horror productions. We're going to find out what went wrong, and then decide if these titles still stand a shot at the green light. I am your host, Josh Corngut. I am the managing editor of Dread Central. I am also a filmmaker in Toronto, Canada. This podcast is a proud member of the Dread Podcast Network. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Development Hell. I hope you all had a killer Halloween. We were kind of off, but you did have some Michael Myers reruns. Well, today we are back. Usually we talk about horror movies that didn't quite escape from Development Hell, but sometimes we do tackle some of the more troubled productions in horror history, and that is what we are doing today with the next Scream movie. So we had two successful reboots. Who would have guessed that Ghostface's seventh movie would face this much mayhem? A lead actor was fired, a new director left loudly, a socially charged boycott, and it hasn't even gone in front of cameras yet. Today, we're digging up all the dirt on Scream 7. Joining us is a very, very special guest. Not only is Serena Whitney the programming director of Revue Cinema, Toronto's longest operating cinema, and one of the most important culture hubs in Toronto, she's also the creator and lead programmer of Drunken Cinema, co-host of the outrageous podcast Movies and Choas, and she's also a screenwriter and a producer. And on top of all that, she is a legacy culture writer and has been written countless times right here at Dread Central. Serena, how's it going? Can you introduce yourself to the Development Hell audience?
Hi. Wow, that was quite the intro. Thank you so much. I'm blushing. Yeah, thank you for having me here. It's so great to be on my own old stomping grounds for an evening.
Pretty crazy. I knew that I knew the lore that you had been a writer with Dread Central before, but I really dug into it today. No, you were a writer, prolific. You have reviewed countless movies. Do you miss it?
Sometimes, yeah, of course I do. It was such a fun time.
Yeah.
To also be a part of something. It was really fun to write a review for a movie and know that sometimes that review helped. That was something I always liked to do. The things I hated to do were to trash someone's movie. I started to not like doing that. Yeah.
Unless it's a big movie, I try. If I hate an indie movie, I'll be like, I'm just gonna try not. I'm gonna not review it.
Yeah, I think when I first started, you're mean, right? You're like, I don't care, this is bad, whatever. Once I started making my own projects, I started to realize nobody strives to make a bad movie, and and like you said, as long as it's not a big project, you should be a little kinder. But
yeah, well, I mean, The Boogeyman, that Stephen King movie, I took that shit down. That was The New Strangers. Fuck that movie.
God. Yeah. No.
Don't see it. Serena, you're also a well-documented Scream aficionado. Dare I say, my Scream correspondent.
Oh, so really?
The perfect episode for you today. I'm just, wondering, how did you find yourself in the Scream industry? How did you get so deep?
Oh my God. I mean, it goes way from when I saw the first trailer. I think I saw the trailer in front of the VHS of The Rock, and I was obsessed. I remember renting that movie over and over again just to see the trailer, because this is even before movie trailers, not you could watch them on the internet. And I was 12 years old when I first saw Scream, and I was hooked. I was obsessed. I've been obsessed since, and it's just it's always been, don't know why it's been like so like fundamentally important to me. But it is definitely one of my geeky sides. Like that's my I think everybody has something or movie or some kind of like something in pop culture that really resonates with them. And
Yeah.
I love Scream.
You've like imprinted onto this franchise. That's beautiful and stunning because what a good franchise to imprint on. Would it be okay with you if I gave like a brief seminar on all things Scream for people who have been living under a rock?
Okay, yeah, no problem.
So Scream, a film, horror thriller slasher from 1996, directed by Wes Craven, written by Kevin Williamson, is said to have revitalized the slasher subgenre with its sharp meta commentary on horror cliches. I think another reason it really shook the boat was that opening scene with Drew Barrymore. It was iconic. It subverted expectations. Nobody thought the biggest star was going to die right away. Do you being surprised by that, or did you know?
I think it wasn't surprising at the time. I think that they set it up, even in the trailer, to set it up that she dies right away. I think that, and because when it came out on VHS at that point, everyone's like, the first 10 minutes she dies. I was such a Neve Campbell fan then. I mean, I think if you were Canadian,
okay, yeah,
you knew her from Catwalk, and I think that was, once I saw her taking over the trailer, I was like, oh, she's definitely the star, and that's so cool.
And she was such like a new star. Okay, I don't know her from that, but I did recognize her from the scariest episode of Are You Afraid of
the Soup? Yeah.
And to this day, I'm kind of like obsessed with green soup. Like, give me green soup. Yeah, I think another thing that like really made this an iconic franchise was Ghostface. I mean, we hadn't had a really recognizable slasher mask in decades. And, after the success of that film, everybody and their mom could recognize that Ghostface mask. And yeah, Neve Campbell, like what a memorable final girl. She's just, she's our generation's Laurie Strode in so many ways. And it's interesting because she's not the most colorful character, which is probably why so many of us can like identify with her. She's like the perfect brunette, like
she's kind of boring, to be quite honest. But I think like especially I started to like her in Scream 5. I was starting to like the dynamic between her and Gail. They just felt kind of sassy, and that was always where I was hoping that like I'm like, please just get Sydney on Gail's level. They swear, they're sassy, they don't give a shit, and I'm hoping that that's what we see more of from her character.
I mean, if we're gonna get it, they're gonna aim for that. We have 6 movies. We have, I'm going to say 1 TV show with 3 seasons, but that's kind of debatable. And I think something most horror fans can agree upon is that this is one of the few long-running horror franchises that is kind of solid all the way through. There's no real sore thumbs. Would you agree with that?
I mean, I think there are some sore thumbs, but I think when I look back on it, I'm like, they're not as bad,
Okay, I have to ask, what are the sore thumbs?
I feel like 5 is my sore thumb. If I had to, I had to pick one. Yeah.
Yeah, people loved 5. It is a little like snoozy, comparably to everything else, but it brought it back. So, okay, how we're gonna get to the show eventually. I don't know if you've seen it or not. I liked it, but the 3rd season is
I am watching the 3rd season now just to revisit it.
No way.
It is so entertainingly bad.
It's
weird because it's got like
cheeky.
It's got a lot of like actors I really like in it, and it's got actually Ghostface in it. It's got
not weird, dumb, fake Ghostface. Yeah,
and it's like most of the characters are not white, which I thought that was really cool too. And I'm like, why is this
predominantly even?
Yeah. I think there's
even Paris Jackson. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's debatable.
Sorry. But yeah, and she wasn't very good at it.
She only had the first scene, and I think that was just I think the opening scene of season 3 of the Scream series was pretty shocking. I never saw a kid get murdered.
Kid got murdered? I don't remember.
A kid gets murdered, right? And it's Tony Todd.
That's true.
Yeah.
Get him. I love you, Tony Todd, so much. I'm happy to see him in any franchise, I guess. So before we get to the meat and the drama, I just want to talk a little bit more about our personal relationships with this beloved franchise. You mentioned a little bit about how you first got involved, which was with a VHS copy of The Rock. But what about from there? Like, which is the first one you got to see in theaters?
The first one I went to see in theaters was 3. I
Same.
tried to with my mother, and there was just it was at a theater that everybody got to see R-rated movies, and like everyone just was able to sneak in. I brought my mom, and I still couldn't get in.
That's so funny. What a
I was so
loser.
yeah, I was so it was just like you could tell he was just trying like just like his like I need
Uh,
to be
yeah.
powerful today, and I just picked the wrong
Oh,
day.
wrong day. You should have tried again. That's so sad. Yeah, me too. The first Scream movie I saw in a theater was 3, and we're in Canada, and that was 14A, I think.
Yeah, it was 14A, yes.
Which
I
is,
think it was the first one that wasn't like R.
and I remember me and my dad like 11:30 a.m. on a Sunday. Just, it's not scary at all, but we were so freaked out. Like we were really into it, and that was a precious experience. And now I love 3, even though maybe I shouldn't.
I love 3.
Do you have a favorite sequel?
I mean, 2 is iconic, but I love 3. 3 has always been I didn't like it when I first saw it. I remember I think everybody was like meh,
Like,
after
what
that.
is this? Yeah.
But it's so funny. It's a really funny movie. I just even watched the work print, which has some really funny bits that were completely left out of the movie, and some scenes with Sydney that are I was like, Sydney was hardly in the movie, so I thought it was weird they took out some of her scenes that kind of explain why she's agoraphobic and creeped out by
Oh.
everything.
Wait,
Yeah.
was the work print more violent?
I mean, you couldn't really, I mean, it was like a black and white thing, so you can't really tell
Ugh.
too much, but there was like some extra scenes with Sydney, like she almost kills her dad. Like,
Good.
and she's mean to her dog at one point, and then she apologizes. Like, she's
Really?
going through some shit. There's a lot of sex jokes between Dewey and Gale. Dewey's a little bit more confident in the work print, and Parker Posey's a little too much.
No.
I love Parker Posey, but I think Wes Craven got like whoever edited that movie got the perfect amount of just like, okay,
When she jumps into Putty's arms, it's like one of my favorite moments in cinema.
so good. But if you watch this work print, there's a lot more of her, and it's a little too cartoony, and I could tell why they took it out. But it's fun to watch. It was definitely like it's like 2.5 hours, and you're like, okay, wow.
I want my midsummer cut of Scream 3, and I want it. I like Scream 3, and it does get a lot of hate. And I'm always the one that like shits on Scream 2 to lift up Scream 3, but why can't I just support everybody? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, my favorite sequel of the bunch, and it might just be my age and my generation, was Scream 4. Scream to this day, I just like really, it's just one that's special to me. There's something about Emma Roberts that like my specific gay subset, which is just like zoomed in on, and I was like, this one, that's for me. And it's gross. It's like really nasty and mean, and it looks bad. I'll give you that. It like has 2012.
I don't know why we didn't. It was kind of weird. It was like that one year we didn't recognize that Vaseline glow. I don't know why it didn't bother me when I first saw it in theaters, and then after it's on Blu-ray, I'm like, what's wrong with my Claire? And
it's the movie. I like how sitcoms looked, like happy endings, or like all of them at that time. It was just like overlit and ugly. Yeah, that's what they did. But I like
4 is great. If anything, I always thought 4 was the one that, I mean, I feel the killer should have got away with it because she worked so hard.
Oh, she deserves
You almost wanted her to get away with it. I was like, she does it so well.
Are you familiar with what could, and I did an episode on this, is the only reason I know, what the follow-up film was supposed to be? Do you have any
I remember hearing about it. This is like going back to like IMDb Messenger, like message boards. But I do remember that it was supposed to be a different trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
It was supposed to have Jill in it, but I think they were going to go in the direction of adults. So it wasn't going to be teens. I think what I like Scream 4 as well because I feel like it was the movie that they made you think it was like a requel. when really it was like, no, we're gonna kill all these kids and it's just gonna be the original people.
Which I love. That's so funny and beautiful to me. And that's like, I kind of wish that's what they kept doing, but I respect it anyways. They were gonna send Jill to university that for some reason Sydney was teaching at. So I don't
Okay.
understand how that works. Ghostface was gonna show up and start killing people, but making it look like it was Jill. And Jill was like trying to lay low after killing a bunch of people. So I wish I could have seen it.
That would have been kind of cool. Yeah.
And then I heard there was supposed to be a Scream 6 that was going to be Courtney Cox's movie, and it was going to be like kind of network and like take place in a studio. And I wish.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they're kind of doing like, I mean, we got the Kirby spinoff rumor. Is that a thing, or is that
Okay.
I mean, you would know.
I didn't know what to make of that. Will you?
I just saw this something. I'm like, there's gonna be a Kirby movie, and I was like, what?
I saw that too, and I did not know how serious to take it. So yeah, social media, it was going to be like Kirby, like a Scream story or something like that.
Yeah.
I
mean, I don't even know how well to take this because it's just like, all the AI stories flood everyone's
Oh my God, yeah.
Facebooks, right?
That's what I assumed, but you never know.
You never know. Honestly, I could see that happening just because I don't think it's it is pretty I don't think it's smart to keep every final girl together.
No, that doesn't make any sense.
Too many. It's too many. We need another story here. And so
he has like a good setup for a procedural cop drama thriller.
she does.
So needs a better wig, maybe, but
I'm just maybe just a little bit.
It didn't move. I want her lesbian haircut back. Bring it back.
I loved her hair in 4. I remember like some of my friends like I hate it. I'm like I love it. I thought it was great.
I don't care if it's homophobic to say this. It was like queer coded, and I wanted it to be that. So
yeah,
it was hot.
But yeah, sorry. I also 2 for me. 2 for me. I really like.
It's good.
2. It's specifically, being biracial, having a movie that. Well, first of all, like 5 and 6. I didn't think I'd be like when I was watching 1 and 2 when I was a kid. I did not think we'd get to a point where all of the survivors are biracial characters, and I was like, holy crap. But in 2, it was a really big deal because you had not just 1 Black character, you had 4 Black characters, and granted 3 of them die horribly, but the Joel is arguably like the smartest character in the franchise, in my opinion. I always
where's
think
he?
well, I mean, he's rumored to be back in 7 too.
I would love that. I forgot her name, the roommate who has that
Hallie.
That scene she has in Scream 2 in the car is probably one of the scariest or at least most intense Scream moments ever.
Yeah.
So the
soundtrack is probably my favorite of all of the movies. It's so eclectic.
Oh, it's it's on streaming. Did you know you can it's like somehow on streaming? It's like the only soundtrack you can get on streaming.
Yeah. And you can't I love how they just get rid of the R. Kelly song because you're just like, let's pretend that didn't happen. Then there's R. Kelly song. I don't even know where it is in the movie. I forget, but it's on the soundtrack. And even then, no one listened to it. But you go from Dave Matthews Band to Master P. I mean, the opening song is the opening song is a Prince cover by D'Angelo. There was something, it was not really white. It was like, to me, I'm just like, this is cool. This is
actively not white, I think. There was a choice being made there.
Yeah, and it just cool. it felt good as somebody who is not white to be seen, and that Kevin Williamson realized, not just white people like horror films. And yeah, I think and that opening sequence is arguably, sometimes in my opinion, scarier than the first one, especially when you're hosting a screening.
Oh my God, for you, 100%. Could you, okay, you're the right person to ask. Could he stab through that?
Absolutely not. No.
Okay.
Yes, that would not
happen to this day. And also, how did you know where the head was?
I just, what I like about revisiting the movies, especially from Wes Craven, is that I'm 40 years old, and last week when I was hosting the Scream double feature at the Revue, we did Scream 2, I just noticed that in that scene in the bathroom, that's both Mickey and the mom.
And Aunt Jackie. Wow.
Yeah. Like all they did was lock the door to the stall. And then Mickey goes under it, does whatever he does to Omar Epps. And then when he comes out of the bathroom, you think, he's just hiding. But no, there's only one at the stall, at the urinal, and slinking away, like really creepily. It's not even.
Hey, so you think they knew that it was like purposeful? Because sometimes I'm like, they don't.
No, I definitely think that. I mean, I remember watching what's my
Intention.
friend Zach Cherry. He went through the videos about like who's killed who, like Billy and
Yeah,
Stu,
yeah.
and you can see like even how Drew Barrymore was killed. There was like obviously Wes Craven had it in his. He had a blueprint as to like, okay,
Mhm.
this one's going to run across the hall to open the door for Billy. And you never thought of that then. You're just like, oh, it's
No.
just, it's just scary. But Wes Craven was really good with details like that. And I was like, I've seen Scream 2 probably way more times than I like to admit. But the fact that I couldn't believe like I just caught that. I never caught that. I never
I
caught
love
it.
to think that it's intentional. That like really like would warm my heart because it gets a little sloppier, I think, as the series goes on.
Yeah.
But 1 and 2 with Craven, yeah, probably I could believe it.
Yeah, I mean, there was just like like the killer being left-handed, and who's the left-handed one and like Billy and Stu, they had a different ways of holding the knives when they attacked
It makes it
people.
like a murder mystery in the sense where like you just couldn't have guessed, in my opinion, with 6 because it's just like nonsense. In my opinion, maybe I'm
Well,
wrong.
I mean, we can get into it as to like the whole Stu theories because I feel like the only way those movies can make any kind of sense is if they already had this like.
Okay, well, this is perfect time because we're just about to jump into Scream 7 Chaos.
Yeah,
We
we
were
should explain. Yeah, we should explain what's going on because like you're
We
seeing
should.
people on Instagram.
I know they're worried. But before we get into it, you promised me you'd talk a little bit about what's going on with Stu. Do you think you could give us a bit of a Stu intervention?
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to ask you. What do you think? Do you think Stu is in it? Or do you think it's logical, or do you think have you seen hints as to his future appearance?
Okay, I think anything is possible in the land of Scream because why not? But hearing Matthew Lillard outwardly say Stu is alive, that to me reads this person is basically campaigning to come back and probably has been for a little while.
Mhm.
Why wouldn't they bring him back? So I think because he seems to be passionate about this franchise, he seems to want to come back. I think that would be enough to somehow make it work. And now he's like super famous with the kids because of Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah.
So, like, why not?
Yeah, at this point, I mean, when it first came out, everyone was like, I was like, get the fuck out of here. But then I've always thought I think he's been in the movies for 5 and 6. I think that was,
Yes.
I do think he's in them.
Been.
Well, his
Six ones?
character, 5 and 6, I think he's in them.
Do you mean like did things? Like
I think he's one of the ghost faces. I think when I first saw 5, and I remember I smoked weed and whatever, so I got extra paranoid. And I remember the opening scene, I was just like, turned to my partner, I'm like, it's Stu. Stu's a killer and their mom's a killer, because where the fuck is this bitch? And yeah, so I always thought it was him just based off the conversation with Tara. She's talking about elevated horror. He's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I feel like Richie and Amber would, even though they preferred stab movies, they would know what elevated horror is. Stu also wasn't the horror geek of the two of them. It was Billy. He was the movie nerd, and like in 6, when the Jason kid gets killed, and it's like, who the fuck cares about movies? It's that kind of weird about me, like that line. I'm like, that doesn't sound like something
you mean the opening killer?
Yeah. Like, who the fuck cares about movies or whatever? And then it goes straight 6. I think the most important thing too is in Scream. I think that if it is Stu and he's been in the movies, I think he was the one who killed Dewey, and I think he's the one who
it would make more sense than Honora.
How he kills him, he guts him, he slits him from groin to sternum, and that's exactly what he said in the first movie. Like, how do you gut somebody? I think that was
it was so bad.
They did Dewey dirty.
Did all of us dirty.
Yeah, I mean, I was fine with them killing off Dewey. You have to. Like, those characters kind of feel like Wizard of Oz characters. You got like the Scarecrow as the brains, it's Gale, and you got Sydney's Dorothy, and then he's a Tin Man. You killed the heart of the movie by killing him off. So I wish that he went out with a blaze of glory, but I definitely think maybe it was probably COVID at the time. I think COVID restricted a lot of things probably on that set. They had to probably rewrite a lot of stuff. What else?
It did feel like there was nobody there.
There's
nobody in the hospital. How?
What's going on?
I know.
Also, like, just the personal call to Gale didn't make sense in the 6. Doesn't make sense for Quinn to be able to throw a big ass guy through a glass, like her boyfriend.
Yeah, what? No.
Gale, like this bitch, she takes like a cast iron pan and hits him in the face, and you don't see Quinn have a mark. Now, remember when Mickey got in a car accident? You saw he had a big mark on his head, right?
Yeah.
So there's like she's completely fine. So I always think that Stu is involved in it somehow that way. And I think even Mindy could be involved. That was my theory. I was
Really?
yeah, because when she
Why?
gets attacked in Scream 5, remember when she's watching?
Yeah, she almost dies.
She almost dies, but you don't see the attack. You see her look up and you're like, oh shit. And then it cuts away. And then you see her fake, like fighting with Ghostface, but it looks kind of fake because then he kind of just, it's a weird scene. He just kind of leaves the room. It's like Mr. Magoo. And it always sat weird with me, that scene. And I was like, oh, maybe Mindy's been involved in this. And that wasn't me.
And she is like legacy sort of braided in with dead family. So maybe it's
you don't even know anything about the dad either. Like no one's questioning like who's the dad, you know? And you know,
I don't know how that brother lived from 6.
Yeah.
That's a lot of stabs.
It's a lot of I mean, he's the new Dewey, really, but
yeah, but hotter.
Yeah, way hotter.
I mean,
but yeah, sorry, my theories are like I get so geeky.
No, I love it. I'm obsessed with it, and you just never know. You don't know. If it is, I'll scream for you when that gets revealed.
I mean, yeah, and I like that Matthew Lillard's kind of playing into this because, like, what's he gonna say? Everyone keeps asking him, "Are you in it?" And it's just like, I love how he says, "If I was, I would lie to your face
for sure."
And that's the safest way of saying, like, you know, because then I mean, clearly, unless they're going to reveal he's in it from the jump. You know, and that would be kind of cool, to be quite honest. Like, it would just be like,
I mean, it would be smart at this point in the junction, but
yeah, like start off a movie where you reveal your killer right away, which they hinted at in 6. They kind of, but they
know I was kind of excited about that.
Yeah, because
having a killer right
away. Different killer. You know, I thought there's gonna be different killers, and it was gonna be like a subway line. You know, they're just kind of
because it's New York.
Yeah, I wish they played more of the New York thing too.
You mean Montreal?
It was basically Montreal, my hometown. Montreal. Yeah, so yeah, the corner store. I was like, I've gotten many smokes from that corner store. Was there
3 corner stores in Montreal? So I love it. Okay,
yes, do shit.
Listen, I want you to get one of those cork boards with like the red string, and I want to see what you can do because
I'll look like Charlie from the
yeah. You've been up for days. Yes. Listen, it's Scream. Anything's possible. Bring back Emma Roberts. I got to actually interview her about the worst movie of all time, and I asked her, like, I don't know, I was like, what would you want to go back to of all your movies? And she was like, Scream.
Yeah, she was rumored, I think, at like I think for 5 or 6. I think 6. It was when she was rumored to be in.
That was me. I was that rumor.
You were the rumor?
Yes, because I had an interview with her and I was like, exclusive. Okay, what's her face said she'd return to Scream, and then Bloody Disgusting picked it up. So that was me.
Oh my God, you start. Yeah, that's your place of power, man. You can just start some rumors here.
Also, like, anyways, okay, fuck it, I'm gonna say it anyways. I'm still pissed that they went from Scream 4 to Scream 6. Like, I don't understand how they could do that to my OCD brain. It's so rude. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. And what are you going to call the next one? Is it going to be Scream 7? Or is it going to be Scream? I have ideas. Can I tell you them?
Okay, yeah, tell me.
Scream XR, you know, like an iPhone or something.
Okay. No, that's fun. Yeah,
Scream
I don't
Plus, like Disney Plus, you know, like.
What I liked how they did at first when they said it was going to be called Scream 2. That was what they were calling Scream.
Insane.
And then, but then, like, if you you could put a 6 in the, like, it could fit in the.
Oh yeah, it could.
And I was like, oh, that's kind of clever.
Zombies Halloween
smart. But then they're just probably like, you know, we can't keep confusing people anymore. It's already hard enough to book this movie.
There are 3 Halloweens. There are 3 movies called Halloween.
Oh yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah.
I mean, there's only really one, but you know what I mean. Okay. Do you feel prepared for the chaos and the drama?
Okay. Oh yeah, we get into the chaos part.
I'm scared, to be honest with you, but we're here. So we're going to be talking about Scream 7 and all that's gone on. So first things first, we got word that directors from Scream 5 and Scream 6, who I would say did a pretty good job. We've got Team Radio Silence. Their names are Matt Bertolini, Olpin, and Tyler Gillette, they announced pretty early on that they would not be returning for Scream 7. And I think this already started to like make people a little bit nervous that either maybe this storyline was going to get interrupted or the tone was going to be kind of shifted. Do you remember when they sort of stepped down and what your response to that was?
I was fine with it. I did.
Get him going.
Yeah, because I could see that they had other things they wanted to do, and maybe when you take over something, you feel like you have a little bit more like control, and maybe because of this franchise and it just maybe they just couldn't feel like I think they felt restrained, maybe.
Yeah, probably. I mean, they're talented guys, and like they've done 2, and they wanted to see what they could do next. Did you like Abigail?
I loved Abigail. I thought that was such a fun movie. Yeah.
They're on their way. They're I think it was right. There was the right decision for them. And then in August of 2023, Christopher Landon, the director of Happy Death Day and Freaky, signed on to direct. And in my opinion, this could have signaled maybe like a lighter comedic tone.
Well, we get some chase scenes. That would be.
Oh, that's this franchise. Do you remember that announcement happening?
About him leaving?
No, about him coming on.
Yes, I remember him coming on, and I thought, like, okay, cool. I always wanted it to be somebody. I always kind of did want it to be Kevin Williamson. And when I did hear that, like Christopher Landon, I was like, okay, well, at least we'll have some chase scenes because Happy Death Day had some really good ones. So
I loved Happy Death Day. I hated Happy Death Day too. So it was kind of like in the middle ground with him. I wasn't sure what to expect.
Yeah, I mean, it was. Yeah, I was fine with it. Yeah.
Well, the first sign of a Scream curse announced sometime in 2023 when the strikes, the writer strike, the actor strike, immediately this halted Scream 7 and put it up in the air. And then this is when things get like messy. On November 21st, 2023, it sounds like a true crime podcast now. In a dramatic series of events, the new Scream protagonist, Melissa Barrera, Sam Carpenter, she was abruptly fired from production. And it was reportedly due to social media comments she made regarding the Palestine-Israel conflict. So here are some of the things that were referenced that were like such a big problem for Spyglass. She wrote in an Instagram story just that Gaza is currently being treated like a concentration camp. And she also wrote, cornering everyone together with nowhere to go, no electricity, no water. People have learned nothing from our histories. And just like our histories, people are still silently watching it all. And then in all caps lock, she writes, this is genocide and ethnic cleansing. I mean, speak. But then Spyglass and someone sort of their representative had this to say after the firing. Spyglass's stance is unequivocally clear. We have zero tolerance for anti-Semitism or the incitement of hate in any form, including false references to genocide, ethnic cleansing, Holocaust distortion, or anything that flagrantly crosses the line into hate speech. Okay. So this is kind of like the catalyst for today's episode. I don't know if there was more that maybe she like took down, but if they are truly just citing this Instagram comment, it seems to me like a strange response and one that like doesn't really fit what she was saying.
It was it's a knee-jerk reaction, but it didn't just happen to her too. It's happening to a lot of women, like particularly women who were speaking out.
Yep.
I think that, like, to me, it's such a complicated situation. It's such a complicated. I don't think she said anything that incited hate or violence. I don't think that's what she was trying to imply. She also did multiple, like, I think they've been following her account, saw that she was posting a lot, but I don't know. I think that was I don't think anyone, even if I don't agree with these people who like, and I'm not saying I don't agree with her because I do agree with what she was saying. I'm saying like even with people that say stupid shit on the internet, as long as they're not inciting hate or violence, I do think people have the right to say what they want, and I think that I don't think somebody should be fired from posting something on their personal Instagram account about their political beliefs. Having said that, I do think when you're in the public eye, you need to be prepared for things like this to happen. And, it was
this like
a shitty situation.
Yeah. This real like struggle against letting people call this conflict a genocide was like rampant earlier on. I think that the powers that be have kind of given up on trying to repress that terminology here because it's potentially harder to argue now after a year of it not getting any better. But I think that was it. Like her using that word genocide, I think is what they are referring to as anti-Semitism.
Yeah, but then what about Eli Roth and what he said? And they released Thanksgiving right when that happened. He was what he was saying was basically the same, but the reverse. It was the other side of it.
Of course.
And they didn't penalize him for.
No, of course they didn't. It's same company that did Thanksgiving Spyglass. I don't know how to say this exactly, but I am like a Jewish person. I like consider myself non-religious, but definitely identify as a Jewish person. And this whole era like was pretty complicated. Yeah. Like I wasn't so comfortable voicing any kind of opinion, with my peers online or with my family for different reasons. And I think at this time, I wasn't exactly sure maybe what to think completely. And I was almost worried about doing this podcast today just with this theme, just because like it's something that's so complicated for me emotionally. Yeah. But at the same time, like after a year, after 40,000 people have died, after, we're seeing that the goalposts are continuing to change, like I think what she said is like pretty on the nose, and that she was like textbook being silenced. And like that's crazy. And that's crazy that that's the drama surrounding a Scream.
Yeah. Because I don't think that, like in my opinion, I think on a lot of people's opinions that just because you're pro-Palestine doesn't make you anti-Semitic, and I don't think what she said it was anything anti-Semitic. I do think that and she had a lot of her like co-star she had Jenna Ortega's like, yeah, peace out of this.
That's interesting. Yeah, well, that happens basically. I think this happens on November 21st, 2023. This is when it breaks, and we get a comment from Spyglass. On November 22nd, we find out that Jenna Ortega has departed Scream 7, but her official reasons are filming conflicts with her Netflix series Wednesday. But this is literally the day after Barrera is fired. Yeah. We know that these two are close, and I don't know for certain if Jenna had been posting her thoughts about what was going on in the world, but I think we can all safely guess that she was nonplussed with the handling of Barrera by Spyglass.
Yeah. No, I think that it was a solidarity move. So at the same time, I do think that Jenna Ortega probably was going to take a very small role in the next one.
Yeah, I think so.
Like, if anything, she was probably going to get killed off in the first 10 minutes, and that would probably turn Sam into Ghostface, So she was.
Damn, I would have seen that. I would have watched. Sam should have been Ghostface a couple of times, honestly, but
I think it was such a, and then it was what was happening online. I mean, even like I talked about it with my podcast partner on our podcast when it happened, and how people were like, "Are you going to see it? You're not going to see it." I don't know. I'm not going to see it. This movie is dead in the water.
Yeah, that's a whole. That's also its own messy thing. This like it's very, very like black and white polarized response to it, and this leads us into this idea of a Scream 7 boycott, which we're seeing a lot of online. People that are absolutely like furious about what happened and like unwilling to support this film, even though, we have some exciting new talent attached. But we'll get to that in a second. I think something I want to talk about here is after we lose these two actresses, we lose the director. Before he officially stepped down, Landon tweeted, "This is my statement," and then an emoticon of a broken heart. "Everything sucks. Stop yelling. This was not my decision to make." And I think he was maybe getting some heat about Melissa getting fired and needed to clarify that he wasn't a part of it. But yeah, he officially steps down not long after and seems really brokenhearted about it, but also does it very publicly, loudly. And is he gay? Because it was giving gay drama, and I liked it.
I mean, I don't blame him.
No.
He inherited a shit fire, right? He didn't. He had nothing to. He's new. He's so completely new, and people were gay on his like he knew about this, like it was his problem, and I was like, yeah, no, I would jump ship too, you know, if that was.
I wonder if he chose to. Do you think it was his choice, or do you think it just needed? Do you think the slate was cleared by other?
Everybody was jumping ship. At least the new, like the core four, I think they were jumping ship. And maybe that was, you know, it just like I think we talked on the podcast too, just about you know what, Spyglass is just going to wait a few months, and then we'll see, and then people get excited again, which did kind of happen.
It didn't happen, at least not on Twitter, but like I've learned the hard way a few times that like Twitter is not real life. So just because we have socially conscious people boycotting a film on the internet does not mean I'm convinced that this is going to translate into the real world, but we're going to have to see. Because yeah, I mean, what you're talking about is this boycott that we're seeing now. That after the firing of Barrera, it's kind of like a line in the sand. People are anti-Spyglass, people are anti-Scream 7, and your theory was interesting because they waited a little bit of time and did a pretty sneaky smart thing. March 20...
I think it was the only thing they could do at that point.
And it necessarily work, but they announced Neve Campbell was returning, which everyone wanted. I mean, in a different world, this would have been such huge, exciting news.
Yeah, I mean, granted, she was always going to do 7, so
yeah, I think so.
She was.
I agree with that fully.
I think like everyone would, because you know the controversy of 6, of what happened with her.
Yeah,
you know, I think she knew that she just didn't want to come back for a thankless role. She's like, I'll come back in 7 when
you're sad enough and you miss me and you treat me well.
Well,
like,
clearly they have to, like, because if 5, 6, and 7 are kind of like its own trilogy, then you kind of have to wrap things up. So I think she always knew she was going to have a bigger role in 7. So she's just like, fuck this.
It does make sense.
Yeah.
But for me, what was even more exciting than her return was that Kevin Williamson, the writer of the original films, kind of in a sense, like the daddy of this franchise, was announced.
Took his baby back. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
To be director, not just writer, which is interesting. Same writer from the last 2, but he would direct. And I think he's directed one movie before, which is Teaching Mrs. Tingle. Have you seen it?
Yes, of course I've seen that movie. That Exorcist scene is like one of the best reenactments. The Exorcist scene, you know, and the girl when she's reenacting the Exorcist in front of Helen Mirren.
I gotta rewatch, and I will rewatch. Trust me,
it's iconic. You gotta watch it. Yeah.
Oh, I love you.
Or revisit it. Yeah.
Kevin, you're my king. Everyone likes to pretend like Vampire Diaries wasn't a sleigh, but it was. Okay.
No, that's something I didn't watch. So.
Well, I promise. How did you feel about this announcement? Did you feel like we were being manipulated? Did you feel excitement? Where did this land for you?
It was weirdly both, but at the same time, I just felt like, listen, Spyglass wasn't giving up this property. Why would they? They made so much money off 5 and 6, right?
Yeah.
So I'd rather see it, you know, be made the way I've always actually wanted it to be made, you know, and rather than it happen and it's completely new, it's a completely new characters and all this stuff. And so yeah, like I think there was I was conflicted about it. I'm like, oh, this is the news I've always kind of wanted, but it kind of feels like a weird strategy move. And I'm sure they felt the same way too, but again, they're just like, well, this is my baby and I don't want it to die in this way, you know. And I just I just think that they I think it was strategic, and I think it was honestly it was a smarter move than just letting it go into some direction like the Scream season 3 TV show kind of way, which is what it could have turned into.
And there's still time. And I think that they thought this would patch things up, that everything would have moved on. And at least in terms of what we see on social, it wasn't really the case. Like, people are turning on him, they're turning on Nev. And I'm sure from their boomer perspectives, even though they're not necessarily boomers, that, yeah, they're like, this is ours. Like, what are you doing? And I wonder if they're able to see the nuance. I'm not sure if they do.
Yeah, I felt like, I don't know, it was the only way to save this franchise by getting the OG people involved in it.
Yes.
Because this movie was going to happen regardless.
And it will.
That's the thing. People, like, you can boycott something. Doesn't mean it's money. Yeah. It's like, that was a lot of money. They're not giving it up. So,
and the average Joe doesn't even know, I think, in my opinion, about any of this, probably. So.
That's my next point, that we love Scream and people online love it. But let me tell you, when I go on opening night to see the Scream movies, it's a bunch of people just want to see a scary movie.
Yeah.
A lot of the time.
Like teenagers. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
they're not like reading about this like we are.
No.
So
they have lives. The last update that I want to give here is there's been speculation for a little while now that Patrick Dempsey was going to return.
Yeah.
He had a major role in Spyglass's other slasher, Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. And of course, he is from Scream 3. And there was speculation that Nev and him maybe are together. And he's finally commented on social media that he's not necessarily attached and he's waiting to receive a script, which to me reads as you're going to be in it. But
she keeps referring to Mark. I'm like, what other, like...
Oh, yeah, she was right on the phone in 5. She's like, Mark.
Yeah, well, she talks about Mark, and even in 6, so like her and Mark are out with the kids, and like she deserves her happy ending.
That's fine. That she got together with him.
Yeah, so she's with him, and then Courtney Coxon talks too, and she said something different. She said something weird too about David. She just wants David Arquette back.
I know, she's sad.
I don't know if you heard this rumor, and I can't, like, again, it's a rumor. I can't even cite it, so I'm not even. It's not even like any of the normal people who cite it. But I did see a rumor that one of the possibilities of like backtracking from 5 and 6, and then and to like almost, you know, make it not canon, is that it was going to be they were actually just Gail's books. Yeah,
that's
weird, right?
Something. That's what I thought you were gonna say.
What were you gonna think of?
Okay, well, I was worried because here has been my pitch for the new Scream movie since day 1.
Okay,
you bring back anyone you want from any of the previous films, and you go full meta, where people that have been in Scream movies are now getting murdered in real life, and so you can kill Drew Barrymore in the first scene again.
So you want to do? I always want to do like a new Nightmare, new Scream.
Yeah. Literally that.
Mine's similar. Mine for Scream 7, I always thought because 5 and 6 have been like 1 and 2 that you have to do 3. So I thought this one should have been like the Ghostface is actually targeting all of the stab actors.
Stab.
Yeah, and like all the surviving stab actors, like the ones we've seen, like Tori Spelling, Luke Wilson, and then you can bring people we haven't seen, like David Schwimmer.
Who played it, Sydney?
Tori Spelling. Yeah, but it would be like you bring back all the people that you haven't seen, just like, you know, there was like Vince Vaughn played Cotton and David Schwimmer, and I think it would be kind of funny that you can do that.
That's so funny. Or just like make a literal stab movie, which I've heard people say before, but why not?
I've seen some bad stab movies on YouTube. There are some movies. People love making their stab movies, let me tell you.
I would love a stab movie, but I don't think it would necessarily fix anything. So into conclusions territory. What's going on? Like, how is this all being handled? Like
a new one. Yeah, so what do you think about...
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen, honestly, when I go on Twitter, I don't look at it the same way probably, but I've seen it die down. You know, like I've seen a lot of people make fun of people for boycotting it and then being the same people to actually get excited, just like turn away. But what do you think about having the OG, you know, you have Kevin Williamson and Nev Campbell attached? Like,
I love it. I mean, okay.
You love it. Yeah. Do you think it's fair that they're getting penalized online for it?
I think it's so complicated, which is such a bullshit answer. I can just psychically envision that they do not have a super firm grasp on why young people are reacting the way that they are. I don't think that they are necessarily empathetic with what's going on in maybe all the right ways. I think Spyglass is definitely trying their best to manipulate the audience, and it's unsuccessful. But at the same time, like, this is their property. This is like theirs, and I'd love to see them get it back. I think the the best shot they have at making everybody happy, and I've heard rumors that this could be happening, is if they get Barrera back and make it right.
No, that's going to be weird, isn't it?
And like
that will piss people off. That will piss a lot of people. You know what? Money talks. I'm sorry. Money talks.
Money talks. And like, they're never going to do this because they're like old farts, but like, money, like, businesses before ego, apologize. Do a little thing, be like, oh, we were like freaking out. Sorry about that. Like, we want her to come back. We'll pay her a shit ton of money. Like,
well, they didn't apologize to Neve Campbell when they didn't pay her enough to come back for probably what was gonna, and she came back and they didn't apologize. No. You know what? Well, you know what spoke? That money spoke, probably. I like, for me, when people, I think that, yeah, I agree with you. I think it's complicated, but I also think that, you know, getting mad at, especially Neve Campbell, you know, when she said, I'm not doing this, but you know what? It's fine. Everybody else did it. And they all supported her online and they continue to do the movie regardless, right? And then she's in this situation where she's not supposed to go back to a role that has probably contributes to her livelihood, that that it's 30 years old almost, you know, and
deserves, like, she like put a shit ton into.
It's like the only project she has that really, like, you know, when like it gets her a lot of attention when she does it.
Skyscraper 2 could happen.
I like Skyscraper.
I never saw it.
That's fun. She's great. Yeah, she's actually she's in it way more than you would think.
I didn't think that at all. So that's great to hear.
She has all the action scenes, and she has to watch 2 kids, which sounds like it sounds like that's what Scream 7 is going to be.
Feel that fantasy. Yeah.
Williamson too. Yeah. He's always wanting, like, it's his birthday.
He's my baby. I got to interview him once when he did Sick at TIFF, which I loved. Did you ever see Sick?
I saw Sick. I actually talked to him at a party, and he was really, really nice. And we
met him at a party. That's so much cooler.
He was very, very nice, and honestly, he loves talking about the tea, like spilling the tea. But I'm not going to spill that here because he was I would be respectful. So yeah,
it's Williams. Yeah, I love him. We both have white poodles, and so we bonded. Well, I don't know what's going to happen. I hope that we are able to play nice, work together, you know, see all sides. I don't know, but I will tell you, I want more Scream. So
I think that's always going to it's always going to be the thing, that people want more Scream. And you know, I don't know what kind of story they're. Obviously, we know it's about Sydney's family. I think that's as much as we do know.
Yeah.
That it's probably going to take place during Christmas time, which is
Terrifier 3 vibes.
Yeah. You know, just I thought it'd be cool that, you know, you have Ghostface in a red robe, you know.
Ooh.
That would be kind of creepy.
Do you remember when we saw him in the Crow mask in the 6th sequel, but then like it doesn't happen? I was sad.
Yes,
I wanted the Crow mask.
That was like, it was from that movie. It was like this
movie. I remember I did a whole news article at Dread Central about the Crow mask, and then boy was I embarrassed when I saw actually what it was in the movie. So,
but then like in 6 we got those pictures of the shotgun, and we're like, oh, it's going to be from another stab. Oh shit! And then I was like, God damn it, because that scene is so scary. And I wish that it wasn't in the trailer.
No, it's shocking.
Yeah, it's very shocking. And the trailer is actually almost an extent. It's just a scene. You get to see the whole scene in the trailer. And I'm like,
but it works, right?
It works. It gets you hooked into it. But I went with people who hadn't seen the trailer, so when that part happened, they were like, "What the fuck?"
The fucking shotgun. You know, I used to be very, very anti slashers and guns because like it makes sense to be anti that. And like, when Terrifier did it, I was like, what? But when Terrifier 3 did it, I like kind of got it, and when Scream 6 did it, yes.
Oh, Scream 6 is great. It's like it's
unexpected.
It is unexpected, yeah. And I like that they did this. The scene felt like again, I just watched the work print for Scream 3, and the scene felt more like what happened in Scream 3, what the original ending was. You know, when she stabs her brother. Like, she's hiding behind the bar and she comes up and but you see it from his perspective, so it just seems like it's like, oh, it's scary from his, like, oh, she's like kind of Ghostface.
The stalker,
But in this version, she's scared and she's the one like walking, like she's crawling, and then she throws something to distract him, and that was, I felt like that it did that with in that scene in Scream 6 as well with Sam when she threw the can to distract him. And I'm like, oh shit.
And it's like public too. It's like so brazen.
It is brazen. Yeah, it's so brazen.
And did you ever clock the name of that convenience store?
I just called it like a dep, you know. Sorry.
It was like Abe's Convenience or Abe Snake's Convenience, which was, I believe, Wes Craven's working name or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I think I could, you know what, allegedly, I don't want to get sued. But yeah, final thoughts. Like, what's gonna happen? You know, you're a psychic, you're in Hollywood. What is the fate of Scream? What's gonna happen?
And I think February 2026 is going to, I think it will probably be #1 in the box office. It makes more sense. It's very easy month to be #1.
Yes, it is.
And we'll guess we'll see who's involved. You know, I think there's, like I said, I think there's rumors of Dwayne Martin.
Who's that?
He plays Joel. He might be in it.
What a deep cut.
Yeah, I kind of don't want him to be in it because he was so smart. He just like
gonna die.
Left and came back, and maybe he starts dating Gail. I don't know.
That'd be hot too. No, he wouldn't. He would never. He's way too smart. He's out.
I do like think if they need to own their mistakes.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think, like, this rumor I've heard about this, like, I would say it was just Gail's books, and then that means Dewey can come back.
No way.
I don't think, I mean, as much as I would love to see Dewey again, I don't want to see him as a Billy Loomis
mirror reflection. No.
Yeah, I don't want to see that. Flashbacks are fine. Like, I'm all
flashbacks are cute.
You know, like hinting at maybe this has always been, maybe there was something else that happened.
Wait, did Gail write fiction?
I think no, she didn't, but I think she was, I think she was trying to write a book about Dewey, and then she's like, oh, it's too hard, let's like go back and being a bitch and just make like Woodsboro Murders again.
Yeah, Gail, you do you. Love you. Please don't kill her.
I mean, they're not gonna, like, that was weird, like, and that's another reason why, like, for the Stu thing too, like in Scream 6, she says dipshit, and she calls him a dipshit in the first one, and I always thought that was like, what a weird, I've never heard dipshit since like 1996, or you know
it's in her vocab though. Yes. I like that. I want your stories to be real.
I think they, you know what, if they're not, and I think that's like, we always theorize, and then what happens, they always end up being a family member from somebody we've never fucking met.
Oh, literally, yeah.
I think the original, like the leaked script that came out, and it's not an alleged leaked script that came out for Scream 7, the original was supposed to be mostly about Sam, and that the killers were supposed to be Stu's sister,
like a cult,
and her mother, Christina, and Stu's sister.
Were they gonna get Sam to kill? I thought I heard something, but
yeah, there's so many things. But I mean, because like, I watch all those videos online.
Good.
My partner makes fun of me all the time.
No, he doesn't know the truth. This is important.
Just like 20 ways Stu Mocker could be alive.
I'd rather watch that than literally anything on Prime Video. So
there you go. Yeah, and honestly, I like it, but I think that if it's not Stu, it's definitely going to be a Stu family member, because again, if it's going back to like, you got to go back to the rules of the trilogy. And Randy said, whatever you remember about the past, you have to forget it. You know, like, it's, the past is not at rest. So it's always about somebody who's been involved from the jump. And I think this person's been involved since 5. And
God, I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope. Give us that.
I mean, it's but again, I'm not like, I get how complicated it is. I'm not upset at Kevin Williamson or Nev Campbell or anybody
me
to come
neither.
back for this movie. And if they get Melissa Barrera, they get everybody to come back.
Bring her back.
Just bring it back. It would be nice to issue a statement, but at this point, like I said,
You don't have to mean it. You just have to.
It's kind of gone away. I think people say they boycott it. They'll still see it.
Yeah, they will. They will. We know you will. So
yeah, I just think, and it's taken a long. People are like, why is it taking so a long time?
Take your time.
They're trying to, there's probably like, you know what? Let's try to get it right this time.
Yeah, and also let it breathe. Let the drama sit. Let people calm down. My question for you is, where can you be found on the internet if you wish to be found?
Yeah? Wish to find me talking about nonsense like this.
They're gonna
you can find me on Instagram. I'm on it's like Switney 1984. That's my Instagram. I'm on X or /Twitter. You can find me also of Movies and Chaos. We do a podcast we every other Thursday. My podcast partner Mark Palermo and I we talk about movies and chaos, and you can find that on any, I guess, past
subscribe to that.
And you can find I run the Revue cinema, and I also do the social there. So if you're tweeting, if you're sending me a DM, sending a DM, you're talking to me. So that's where you can find me.
For like the 3 Toronto people listening, anything exciting coming up at the Revue?
Well, I'm doing Judgment Night, which is actually I'm doing that on Friday, which is kind of interesting because I felt that Scream 6 kind of ripped off Judgment Night in ways. We're doing a lot of noir movies because Noirvember. And come by. We have a lot of interesting movies. Josh knows, he comes to the
hell yeah, I do. It's the only thing to do in Toronto. I have. Well, we love you. Thank you for your insights, and I hope to have you back one of these days.
Thank you so much for listening to Development Hell. If you enjoy this podcast, then please do us a major favor of leaving us 5 stars and writing a positive review. It really makes all the difference in the world. We'll see you next week with a brand new episode of Development Hell.
Thank you for listening to the Dread Podcast Network.